The political and technological landscape of the Western world underwent a tectonic shift from which there is no return. Standing before a phalanx of microphones at the Department of Justice, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche signaled the end of an era. The release of the Data Set 12, part of a massive 3 million-page dump mandated by the Epstein Files Transparency Act, has effectively detonated the carefully constructed persona of the world's most powerful private citizen. This is not merely a news cycle, it is the fall of the Silicon Fortress. For years, Elon Musk positioned himself as the ultimate disruptor, the man who would clean up the Epstein client list through his newly formed America Party. But, as NBC News' Ryan Nobles reported within the last 24 hours, the hunter has become the hunted. The documents, spanning from 2012 to 2014, do not just mention Musk. They paint a portrait of a man actively seeking entry into the darkest corners of the Epstein empire. The metadata from the DOJ servers confirms the authenticity of emails where Musk, far from refusing invitations, as he claimed on X as recently as 2025, was asking Jeffrey Epstein about the timing of the wildest parties on Little St. James. The metaphor of a glass house is too fragile for this reality. This is a titanium tower being liquidated by its own blueprints. The world watched in stunned silence as the AP photographed orders of no contact and guest lists that had been buried for over a decade. The time of speculation is over. The time of the Great Reckoning has begun, and the fortress has no gates left to lock. The data released by Quinnipiac University and the Marist poll in the last 48 hours provides a clinical autopsy of a dying political movement. Systemic shifts of this magnitude are rarely captured in real time, but the numbers are staggering. According to the Quinnipiac National Poll, released on January 31, 2026, a crushing 63% of registered voters now officially disapprove of the Trump administration's handling of the Epstein files, viewing the recent disclosures as a forced transparency rather than a voluntary one. More critically for the techno-king of Silicon Valley, 77% of voters stated they would never consider joining a third party created by Elon Musk, a devastating blow to the America Party's 2028 ambitions. The Marist poll, conducted between January 28th and January 30th, shows a terrifying trust deficit emerging among the youth. While Gen Z and millennials were once the bedrock of Musk's cult of personality, 54% now view his historical ties to the Epstein network as disqualifying. This isn't just a PR crisis, it's a demographic extinction event. The polls indicate that 27% of those who identify as Republicans are now looking for an exit strategy, stating they would jump ship if the wildest party emails are corroborated by the 180,000 images currently being processed by DOJ servers. We are witnessing the total evaporation of political capital. The silent majority that Musk claimed to represent has turned into a vocal majority demanding immediate accountability. When 8 in 10 voters demand the full, unredacted release of files that now include your personal holiday schedule, the mathematical probability of political survival drops to zero. The markets hate uncertainty, but they loathe a moral vacuum even more. As the Epstein files began to populate terminal screens across Wall Street, the economic black swan took flight. This is no longer about Tesla's quarterly deliveries, it is about the credit default swap (CDS) market on tech-heavy debt. Financial analysts are tracking a terrifying correlation between the Data Set 12 release and a sudden spike in insurance premiums for directors and officers, D&O, across the Musk-linked ecosystem. As reported by CBS News, The DOJ's inclusion of 2,000 videos and 180,000 photos has sent shockwaves through the reinsurance markets. If a single frame of the wildest party mentioned in Musk's 2013 emails emerges, the liability is unquantifiable. This crisis has directly forced a radical and potentially desperate strategic pivot. As of this morning, reports indicate Tesla is discontinuing the Model X and S vehicles to focus entirely on robotics. This isn't innovation, it's a retreat. The bond market is already reacting to the contagion risk. If Musk is legally entangled, the liquidity of his entire empire, built on the collateral of his reputation, vanishes. We are seeing a historic decoupling of the Musk premium from the reality of global finance. When the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, himself mentioned in the 2012 Epstein logs as coordinating Caribbean visits, is unable to stabilize the markets, you know the rot has reached the foundation. The global insurance market is now pricing in a total reputation collapse, and the cost of capital for anything associated with the ex-Tesla SpaceX triad is becoming prohibitively expensive. The math of the Silicon King is being solved, and the answer is bankruptcy, moral, political, and eventually financial. Behind the digital walls of his enclave in Austin, the psychological disintegration of a leader is unfolding. In the last 72 hours, the tone of Elon Musk's communications has shifted from defiant disruption to a cornered, white-hot rage. The irony is Shakespearean. Musk launched the America Party in July 2025 with the explicit promise to unmask the Epstein list, positioning himself as the only man brave enough to take on the deep state and the Trump administration's perceived delays. Now, he stands unmasked by the very transparency he championed. Witnesses within his inner circle describe a leader in total isolation, lashing out at the DOJ and Todd Blanche, accusing them of a targeted hit job, even as his own 2013 emails, verified and time-stamped, stare back at him from every news crawler. The psychological blow of being proven a liar is profound. For years, he told the world, "I refused his invitations." Now, the world reads, "What day night will be the wildest party?" And ratio is not a problem for Tallulah. This is the disintegration of the hero archetype. The cognitive dissonance required to maintain his role as the savior of humanity while being documented as a prospective guest of Jeffrey Epstein is shattering his base. He is a leader without a legion, a commander whose soldiers are realizing they were fighting for a mirage. The America Party headquarters is reportedly in disarray, with staffers resigning as they realize their transparency mission has become an exercise in self-incrimination. Musk isn't just losing an election, he is losing his grip on the narrative of his own life. In the world of the political thriller, the most dangerous enemy is the one you think you own. The betrayal of the elites is the central theme of this January catastrophe. For months, it was assumed that the Trump administration would keep a lid on the Epstein files to protect their own, but the pressure from the Epstein Files Transparency Act became a hydraulic force that even the most powerful could not resist. The emergence of Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick's name in the files, coordinating visits in December 2012, has created a circular firing squad within the cabinet. Lutnick has publicly distanced himself, calling Epstein gross in a desperate attempt to survive the purge, but the damage is systemic. The DOJ, led by Blanche, has realized that to save the administration, they must sacrifice the outliers. Musk, having positioned himself as a rival to Trump through the America Party, was the perfect silent competitor to be offered to the public's thirst for justice. This is a classic elite realignment. The billionaire pact that governed Silicon Valley and Washington for 2 decades has been shredded. Every man is now for himself. The internal memos leaked over the last 48 hours suggest that even Musk's former allies are cooperating with the DOJ, providing context for the 2014 emails where Epstein mentions inviting Musk again for Christmas in St. Bart's. The silent competitor is no longer silent. He is a liability that the system is aggressively ejecting. The internal enemy isn't a shadow government. It's the 3 million pages of their own shared history. We conclude this emergency broadcast with a technical postscript on the mathematical impossibility of recovery. In political science and economic theory, there is a threshold of cumulative negative data, beyond which no amount of rebranding can restore trust. As of January 31, 2026, Elon Musk has crossed that threshold. The volume of the disclosure, 3 million pages, 2,000 videos, 180,000 photos, creates a data gravity that pulls every other narrative into its orbit. You cannot build a rocket to Mars when the ground beneath your feet is composed of Epstein's flight logs. The America Party is mathematically dead. Its polling trajectory has hit a hard floor of 9% among decided voters, while the disapproval rating for its founder continues to climb toward 80%. There is no fix for a 2013 email asking for the wildest party. There is no algorithm that can delete the memory of these documents. We are witnessing the end of the techno-king epoch. The era where a billionaire could buy the narrative, own the platform, and dictate the truth has collided with the physical reality of 3 million pages of evidence. The gears of history have turned, and they have caught the man who thought he was the engineer. The story of Elon Musk and the Epstein files is not a scandal. It is a technical malfunction of the elite class, a system-wide crash from which there is no reboot. The era is over. The files are open, and for the inhabitants of the Silicon Fortress, there are no more secrets left to sell. Gooden.